Are you feeling stuck? Are you feeling heavy? Are you feeling this desire like you want to move forward and create something in your life, but you just don't know where to start? And you feel stuck in these perpetual cycles, these loops, these patterns, these habits that continue to thwart your progress, that hold you back. I promise you, if you stick around to the end of the video, you'll have some practical things, some things for you to do that can get you out of your rut, that you can begin moving in the direction that you want to, so you can experience more love, joy, and happiness in your life. Now, when I was back in high school, and coming out of high school and going into college, I was in that exact same place. I was lost. I was confused. I lost my girlfriend, my two best friends of 4 years that we hung out with always every week. And all the friends I thought were my friends were no longer my friends. I lost my favorite sport because I stopped playing it. I stopped going to school, and I had no direction with my life. I started partying. I started drinking alcohol. I started doing cocaine, doing drugs. And I hit rock bottom. I was depressed. I was alone. And then I read a book. I believe the first book I read was called Think and Grow Rich. And when I read this book, it started talking about ideas about how you create your reality. I'm sure you've probably heard of it. But it started talking about how you are the creator of your reality, essentially. And how your thoughts play an impact on your life. And I didn't realize how much I was really holding myself back. And when I looked at my life, I got to really ask myself, who's responsible for my results? Who is the one that's responsible for what I'm getting? And I got to realize that it was me. I got to take ownership for the results that I had in my life. Everything that had happened to me, I got to take ownership for that. I realized it was a lot easier for me to point the finger and blame. It was my best friend's fault for telling my girlfriend something. It was my girlfriend's fault for not being a certain way I wanted her to be. It was my parents' fault for how they raised me. It was all these people, everyone else's fault except for mine. Oh, it was someone who told my best friends that I did X, Y, and Z. That's why we're no longer friends. And now this is a very easy trap to fall into that keeps us in our patterns. Because now we're not responsible. It's the world's fault. It keeps us comfortable and safe. It feels better to blame it on someone else than it is to take ownership for where we're at. Because now the responsibility is not on us. Now we don't have to change. We can just continue being a victim. And when we realize that we get to take ownership, if we want something different in our life, we get to take first and foremost, number one, you take ownership with where you're at. You take ownership with where you're at. And when I first took ownership for where I was at, it was uncomfortable. It didn't feel good because no one wants to hear that they're responsible for the shitty life that they've created. That it was their energy, it was their actions, it was their patterns that created that. So that's the first thing that you get to do is take ownership. Take ownership. Today, right now. And what you'll realize if you are feeling stuck or you're in a place you don't want to be, and if you haven't done this before and you take ownership for where you're at, what you'll realize is that you'll feel uncomfortable. You'll feel some type of energy of like, man, what do I have to do? Like, why am I not where I want to be? And this leads me to the next point, is to start to breathe and become present with what you're feeling in your body. I used to judge and shame my emotions. I used to have friends tell me that, oh, Jacob, it's kind of gay for you to cry. Nothing against gay people, but that was like the language that they would use towards me. And I created this belief around feeling my emotions isn't strong. It isn't a good thing. But when you realize the truth, when I realize the truth, is that my feelings are my greatest guide. They show you what's really going on in there. So much in the personal development world, we want a spiritual bypass. Just think positive. Just think positive. Just think positive. Positive, positive, positive. But you're feeling unworthy. You're feeling lack. So begin to breathe and be present and tune into what you're really feeling in your body, because that's the gateway to showing you what is running unconsciously. It doesn't matter how hard you work and how hard you try and how much time you put in. If you have a program that's running unconsciously that says in your body that says, I'm not worthy to receive, you will sabotage yourself. We always prove our beliefs right. So get curious. What are you really feeling in the body? And this is what you get to do. Give it love and acceptance. Ask yourself, what are you feeling? Just that question alone, what am I feeling, gives it permission to exist, gives it permission to be there. What am I feeling? Connect to that inner child. What do they need from you? Give it love and acceptance and just be with it. Your pre-7-year-old is running your life if you haven't done inner child work. We create majority of our patterns and habits and beliefs from 7 and under. So begin to redevelop a relationship with that inner child, and it wants attention from you, nobody else. So begin to be with it. You get to feel it, to heal it, and not coming from this place of you need to intellectualize it as an adult and tell it what to do. No, ask it what it really needs. Maybe it just needs love and acceptance, and begin to soften and tune in. What am I really feeling right now? And then feel it. You'll notice a tendency, if you're not used to this, a tendency to want to suppress it or repress it, because there's a belief running that it's not safe to feel my emotions. That if I feel my emotions and be vulnerable with myself or the world, that I won't be accepted. I need to fit into someone else's beliefs or do what other people want so that I can be loved and approved of and validated. Because you value people pleasing. You put other people's needs before your own. So begin to really get curious about what's there for you and feel it. Emotions are just energy in motion. And when you're feeling the emotion, you're allowing it to be in motion through you and out you. You give it permission to release. But the reason why you're getting triggered or why it's there in the first place from something that happened in your external environment is because it's already in you unconsciously. It's already in your body. The body tells you everything. So that your feelings are your greatest guide. What are you feeling? And what are they trying to tell you? And as you begin to do this, as I began to do this, I started to feel so much love and acceptance for myself. I started putting myself out more and speaking my truth. And when I went to go for things, I felt more worthy and lovable and more acceptable and more worthy to receive. So that I actually followed through with the things that I wanted to do. So begin to feel your emotions and get curious about where they're coming from and what they are. And give them love. Just accept them for they are. Just give them presence. Allow them to be seen and heard. Now, that's on an energetic level of what we get to start doing in order to start moving the direction of what we want. That's the internal game. It doesn't matter how many more habits and how many things you try to do until you really give yourself the presence that your inner being has been so desperately craving from you. You will always be stuck. Because the internal shift won't take place in order for you to move forward in the things that you want. So start giving yourself presence. Now some practical things that we get to do. If we're feeling stuck, if we're feeling heavy, if you're feeling that emotion, start to shake. Ooh, start to shake. Move that energy. Animals in nature, when they get in a tussle, A tussle. When they have a scrap with other animals, the first thing they do when it's done, because they're experiencing that trauma, is they shake. They move it. It's a somatic experience. You move it through your body. One of the greatest things that really started to help me become unstuck is start building with tiny little actions, tiny little wins throughout your day, habits that you can do that are easy and simple that will begin to build momentum. Because it's easy to do what you've always done. And it's easy to keep doing what you are already doing. So the key is to start making tiny shifts. People try to do these big things too fast, too soon. Start getting tiny little shifts in a new direction. Whether that's you meditate for 5 minutes a day, you read 10 pages a day, something. Some positive action that you know is good for your well-being, your heart, and your personal growth. So you can start building momentum in that direction. And begin to tune in. Ask what feels good for me. What do I want to do? What's the most nourishing for my soul? No longer doing what other people want you to do. Tune into what feels good for you. Try new things. What else out there is there for you to experience? If you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, Albert Einstein says that's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So try new things. Shake it up. Get curious about what else is possible. But when you begin to realize that you have the power, you are a powerful creator, and you take ownership for what you have, and you become present to what is, your life will change. But you gotta let go of the past. You gotta stop worrying about the future. The only moment that what it takes to become unstuck is realize that this moment is the only moment that you have. You can only learn from your past and be excited and think about the future. But right now is where you have the power. So as we continue to intoxicate ourselves with our thinking and our thoughts and the mind of trying to figure out what went wrong in the past and blame and think about it and dwell in the past of how the world screwed us or something that we did wrong and we judge ourselves, the longer that we'll perpetuate and actually bring that energy into our future and we'll recreate our past. So it starts with your energy. That's the whole premise of this channel. You change your energy, you change your life. That's why there's people out there who grind, who work 12-hour days, who work their asses off but can't seem to get any further because they're not changing their energy. They're taking lots of action, but they're vibrating lack and unworthiness, separation, fear, doubt, worry. They're not in abundance and gratitude and love and appreciation. So start accepting yourself for where you're at. Realize that you're a divine being. You are a divine creator. And accept yourself for where you're at. There's nothing you need to do in order to be enough. And when you accept yourself, accepting yourself isn't about embracing something as it is and then trying to change it. You're not embracing this thing and allowing it to exist in your life and then trying to avoid it and push against it. No. Acceptance, true acceptance, is when you realize that all things have the right to exist and then you let it go. You're no longer trying to push against it. Because one of the fundamental principles of creation is that what we resist persists. What you focus on get more. So the more you try to fight against who you are and who you're trying not to be, the greater it'll become, the bigger it'll become because you're giving your energy to that. So come to acceptance, realize all things have to exist, and then let it go. Allow it to be. It's okay. I love you guys. Comment down below what you're excited about moving forward into. Subscribe if you want more videos on spirituality, consciousness, philosophy, just becoming a better human, where I share my journey, what's worked for me. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.